Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we are looking at the Merukimon promo, making a deck for the BT23 format that uses the ability to play back avian trait cards and the execute ability to rip cards out of your opponent's hand. And so there's probably a way to loop this that I'm not quite smart enough to figure out. So, starting with our eggs, 4 copies of EX4 Pinamon. On deletion, if deleted outside of battle, gain a memory as long as you are triggering that execute and not dying to your check or by swinging into an opponent's Digimon that is too big, you will get a memory back on the execute trigger. So great egg for this new level 6 Merukimon. We're going to run 4 copies of the BT13 Falcomon. On play, one of your purple Digimon gains Retell until the end of your opponent's turn, and the inheritable says if deleted outside of battle, your opponent trashes a card in their hand. Something really cool about this, what it does for Merukimon, is since we are swinging into things with Execute, if you really have to force a trade with Merukimon, playing this out off of the Evo effect, giving the Maruki Retell, and then executing into something as a Retell body is perfectly functional as a method of removal. We're going to run 2 copies of the EX4 Falcomon. The on-play search adds a purple card with Ravemon in its name or bird or avian in its traits and a Keenan Crier among them to hand. Place the rest at bottom of your deck in any order. I am on 2 copies of this specifically because I don't want to whiff on any of our non-tribal pieces in this deck, but the inherit here doubles up on that hand rip effect. We're going to run 4 copies of the promo Falcomon. This synergizes insanely well with Maruki. On play, suspend one of your opponent's level 6 or lower Digimon. The second half of the effect will never happen, and the inherit here also rips cards from hand. Maruki on attack can actually, I believe it's bottom deck or bounce to hand, one of the two, one of your opponent's suspended Digimon. So if you play the Falcomon off of the Merukimon Digivolve effect, you get to suspend something down and then trigger the execute on Maruki, return something to their hand or bottom deck, whatever it is, and then after the execute finishes, you do get to rip a card out of the opponent's hand. So really nasty piece to be running with the new box topper Maruki. For our level 4 suite, 4 copies of BT13 Peckmon has blocker. That's fantastic because we can play level 4 avians from the trash. This is a nice way to just put a blocker on the board, and it's again going to rip cards out of your opponent's hand on deletion. We do also have 4 copies of the EX4 Peckmon. Lets you play a Keenan Crier if you don't have one in play. We are going to run the memory setter Keenan Crier because there are no mem setters that really synergize perfectly with this deck. It's just an opportunity for us to play a free mem setter that way. And the deletion inheritable here also doubles up on the hand rip effect. So far we've kind of set up our deck to be able to rip 2 cards out of the opponent's hand every time we do the Merukimon execute thing. We're going to run 2 copies of BT16 Gatomon, has barrier on play, and when digivolving by trashing a card in your hand, return a level 6 or lower 2-color Digimon card that's red or purple from trash to hand, and then the inherit here says all of your opponent's security Digimon get minus 3k. This is really nice in 2 different functions. First of all, this has Beast in its trait. It is a Holy Beast Digimon, so you can play this off Maruki. If you do play this off of the, you can see BT13 Crowmon over there. Play it off the Crowmon after you resolve the Merukimon on deletion. You can actually play back the Gatomon from that and then actually grab back your Maruki so that you always have the Merukimon to do your execute thing. The inheritable here is super great because Maruki is vulnerable to dying to security checks off of execute. So having that is minus 3k on the opponent's security makes it a little bit safer for Maruki to get in if you are forced to put this in a stack. We don't usually want this in a stack, but if it has to go in, it's going to do some work for us. We are running 4 copies of the BT13 Crowmon. The when attacking will never happen. We are not running Ravemon, but nice. What's really nice about this card is it is a 3-cost Evo, and the inheritable here kind of just doubles up on the Merukimon effect. So on deletion, we're going to be able to guarantee 2 level 4 purple bodies off of the Maruki deletion effect. Like I mentioned, we can play back the Gatomon, so we can grab back Maruki, or we can play back this Peckmon that is a blocker to set up our board so that we don't actually die on the clapback. We're also going to run next to this 3 copies of the EX6 Feresmon. It has blocker, it has on deletion and on deletion. If your opponent has 5 or fewer cards in their hand, gain a memory. So if you're doing your job and ripping cards out of the opponent's hand, this is going to reward you with a 2-cost Evo. If they have 7 or more, trash a card in their hand. What's really nice about that is that it is going to force the opponent to trash down if they have a lot of cards in the hand, and that's going to make this hand ripping, I'm going to call it a loop, even though it's probably not technically a loop. It's going to make it much more devastating to have to deal with. The inheritable here is also pretty fantastic. When attacking, your opponent may trash a card in their hand. If they didn't trash, you play a level 3 purple Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. I like doubling up on the level 5 inheritable here's that do play us back bodies. The when attacking is really nice because it's going to force the opponent to either trash down like we want them to do, or it's going to net us a body, which is more aggro for later. If it does net us a body, then we can use the on-play Falco to suspend something down, and we can actually use this when attacking before the Merukimon when attacking so that we have options forcing the opponent to basically choose if they want to lose a card or lose a body on the board. And then we can also do some sneaky things like playing the Falcomon that gives retail, and then trading into something if we have to. So really nice complementary level 5 here. There are a couple of other options that work really well. And by a couple, I mean there's a lot of cards that work really well in this slot. I'm sure there's all kinds of different flavors of Maruki you can play. I do like that this is thematic for giving you blocker. It's a memory accelerant. It gives you bodies. So I am running with it. We have 2 copies of the Kimeramon from BT8. When digivolving, you place a level 5 or lower card from trash under this Digimon as its bottom source. Then 4 of your Digimon get minus 1k for each of this Digimon's colors, and this is treated as having the color of its sources. So if you're doing your combo properly, you should always wind up with 2 level 4s on the board, so that you can DNA into Chimera, and then possibly a level 3 extra body if you have the Feresmon. Otherwise, it's going to be 3 level 4s. And then you just get a free DNA into Chimera. And what's kind of funny about this whole situation, this whole sequence, is that you can DNA on top of your 2 Peckmon so that you're ripping 2 cards out of their hand with the Chimera stack, and then you tuck another body underneath. So if you have the gas to keep going, you can tuck the Crowmon, which will then spit out the extra level 4, and then you just wind up with this accumulation of level 4s to keep doing your looping. Or you tuck another Digimon that rips a card out of the opponent's hand underneath the Kimeramon, and now this stack with Kimeramon is actually going to rip 3 cards out of the opponent's hand instead of 2, which is setting you up for like 5 cards being ripped out of the opponent's hand, which is really funny. And if you have really like high roll setup, you can actually do this loop like 3 times through. So you can technically rip like 8 cards out of your opponent's hand. And that's really funny. I really like the idea of ripping 8 cards out of somebody's hand. So yeah, Kimeramon I think is a must in this deck. For the main level 6 in this deck, we have the promo Merukimon has execute, so at the end of your turn, you can attack one. You just get to attack, so you can attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon, or you can attack into security or suspended Digimon. And then when digivolving and on deletion, you play a level 4 or lower Digimon with Avian, Bird, Beast, Animal, or Sovereign other than Sea Animal in any of its traits, or the TS trait from trash without paying the cost. So we are playing a Holy Beast or an Avian trait using this effect. Then when attacking, you return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So that's where Falcomon comes in as clutch. You play it, you suspend something down, you use the execute trigger, you attack, you return something to the bottom of the deck, and then when digivolving, you would play level 4. When this dies to the execute, you play a level 4, you DNA into Chimera, you have a level 3 and a level 4 sitting on the board, and because the DNA does technically remove the summoning sickness from this card, you can then go back into another Merukimon, do the execute thing again, and you are just kind of being a problem, and I love it. For our complementary level 6 here, I'm running 2 copies of EX6 Barbamon, has Scapegoat, which should work out really nicely for us with all the extra bodies that we're playing regardless. On play and when digivolving, trash a card in your opponent's hand without looking. All turns when an opponent's hand is trashed from, you may play a play cost 10 or lower purple card from your trash without paying the cost. For each card in your opponent's hand, reduce this play cost maximum by 1. So we are either getting free tamers off of this with the Keenan Crier if we can't get it off Peckmon, or we are playing more bodies. The Feresmon isn't the greatest target because it doesn't have an on play, same with Crowmon, but more often than not, we're trying to get more level 4s, more level 5s to go into level 6s. My favorite use of this card is once you do the Merukimon thing, you DNA into Chimera, you can just end off on a Barbamon, and then that's going to rip a card out of the opponent's hand to leave off on. If you can actually get through the loop twice, then obviously you do that, and then you DNA into your second Chimera, and you end off on the Barba. You're going to wind up ripping just a bunch of cards out of the opponent's hand, and if they deal with it, they lose more cards, because on deletion, you're going to rip more cards out of their hand, our favorite thing on the planet. We do have 2 copies of Dullahamon. I think this level 7 slot is a little bit flexible. I went with the execute because if we're ending off on Barbamon and then I want to evo into the Dullahamon to actually cash in on those on deletion inheritables, this is a great way to do it. Has execute, piercing, sec +1 when digivolving. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon at the highest level. This does not delete. You get 5k so that you can execute basically through whatever the opponent has on the board. And then on deletion, play level 6 or lower with the ghost trait. That's never going to happen. For our options here, 2 copies of Purple Scramble. This is just memory in hand, which is important with some of these 4-cost Evos chilling here, Maruki and Barbamon. And then we can return a card from trash to top of deck and play a level 3 at the start of our turn if the opponent has a Digimon and we have none. So this is just accomplishing a lot of things for us. 2 copies of Purple Memory Boost. That's going to go alongside our 4 copies of Wisdom Training as our search package. 2 copies of Keenan Crier from EX4. He is a mem setter. The second part of his effect will just never happen, but it is a mem setter that we can play for free, so we are playing it. And then I'm on 3 copies of Analog Youth. This card is just super good with the execute strategy. Every time on play, it's going to reveal top 3, so you can actually grab your Chimera and then fill up the trash with birds from Maruki to play back. And then all turns when one of your level 5 or higher is popped, you get to suspend this, hatch an egg, and gain a memory. So that is going to get us memory whenever we do this Merukimon shenanigans thing. And if we have a scramble and we already have Pinamon, even with one animal analog youth setup, we're getting 2 memory back off of doing the execute with Maruki, and then the purple scramble saves us 1. Like, this is just a really, really high value. It's a 1 cost level 6 Evo. So it's really fun. And then you get to hatch an egg, and you get more momentum off of that. So that's what I'm doing with the promo box topper Merukimon and BT23. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Have you picked up this card? Are you trying it? And which of the box toppers from BT23 is your favorite level 6 with the TS trait? So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Thank you to our channel members for supporting this channel. It's people like Langlong, Big Z11, Coffee Deus, and Digidane who make videos like this possible.